Cruise news, a criminal was apprehended after sharing some photos of their cruise vacation. They're going to jail for a long time. I'm going to get you the details. Also, I have not one but two serious excursion incidents to report to you. There were quite a few injuries coming from these. One turned into a wild adventure. Then I have some important updates for upcoming sailings, policy and pricing changes from multiple cruise lines, and a lot more. I'm going to get you the top cruise news updates to get you fully up to speed, and I'm going to get you the information fast coming up. Let's go ahead and kick things off with number one. A group of cruise passengers found themselves stranded on a remote island miles from their cruise ship. This occurred to passengers from the Silver Cloud cruise ship. That ship is part of Silversea Cruises, which is the luxury brand operated by Royal Caribbean Group. The passengers were on an excursion to Adele Island. It is a remote, uninhabited island off the northwest coast of Australia. On their excursion, they were in Zodiac inflatable boats. However, around 4:30 p.m., the tide went out faster than expected, and the boats became stuck in shallow water. They were approximately 4 miles from the cruise ship at the time. Initially, around 60 passengers and some guides began wading through about 1,500 feet of coral reef to a point where they were rescued by ship crew. From the coral, several received minor cuts and twisted ankles. Thankfully, there were no serious injuries. However, 10 individuals from the cruise ship were not able to make the transit back through the coral, so they had to remain on the island along with a few of the guides. This small group remained stranded on the island until around 10 p.m. at night when the high tide returned and the Zodiacs could make their way out. Sounds like they definitely had an adventure. Next, number two, Disney Cruise Line is quietly raising prices at its 4 adult exclusive dining venues. On the screen right now is the name of the 4 restaurants. Now, some of the price increases will only be on a few ships. In one situation, the increase will be fleet-wide. The key thing to know is that with the increases, you're looking at either a $5 or a $10 change in the pricing. The Palo restaurant, called the Palo Steakhouse on the Disney Wish, is increasing by $5 fleet-wide. The Remy restaurant will be increasing by $5 to $10 depending on your meal selection. This will only be on the Disney Dream and Fantasy cruise ships. Then the Enchante will increase by $10 on most cruise ships. This will not be implemented on the Disney Fantasy until November 16th. Moving on to number 3, I have a hurricane season update. If you will be cruising in the coming days, there are a few storms to be aware of. Starting in the Atlantic, there is one weather system of concern. It is identified by the yellow on this map. That system is only being given a 20% chance of cyclone formation in the next week. The big question will be whether it hooks back north into the Gulf, so we'll keep an eye on that one. But over in the Eastern Pacific, there is definitely some potential for disruption to cruises. The one storm system of concern is identified by the red on the map. It is now being given a 90% chance of cyclone formation in the next week. And looking at its current path, it is moving north and it is hugging directly next to Mexico's west coast. So looking at the cruise ports on the west coast, depending on how the storm develops, it could definitely cause some disruption and itinerary changes. Stay tuned for updates. Then number 4, P&O passengers are frustrated that the cruise line is now charging to guarantee a spot in their kids' club. This change will first be implemented on their Iona cruise ship. The challenge that P&O seems to be trying to navigate is that their kids' club called The Reef is in high demand, but there are limited slots available. So their solution is to give parents the chance to guarantee that they have a slot. But to do this, P&O wants them to dish out some money and pre-book space in the kids' club. Under the new system, daytime sessions cost $6.75 in US dollars, and evening sessions cost $12.20. This has left many parents frustrated, seeing this as a money grab by the cruise line. P&O has stated that they will continue to have a certain limited amount of free slots available in the Reef, but these are on a first-come, first-served basis. P&O Cruises has not announced a timeline for when this policy change will be extended to the rest of their fleet. Okay, I have more cruise news pieces remaining, including the top headlines of the day, but now it is time for our fast mid-show check-in. In the last video, I listed the 4 largest cruise lines. YouTube will only allow me to list 4 options in a poll, and I asked which of those 4 you would prefer to sell on. Now, this was a question that I had asked you last year, but given Carnival Cruise Line's recent public relations challenge that they're having with their new loyalty and rewards program, I wanted to do something so that we can all gauge how cruise line preferences may have changed. So before I show you the results of this week's poll, let me first show you the results from when I asked this question last November. At that time, 7% of you went with MSC, the largest portion, 48%, went with Royal Caribbean, 27% chose Carnival, and 18% selected Norwegian Cruise Line. So now let's look at the results from our poll this week, and I will also show you the percentage change compared to last year. We can then notice if and how many customers Carnival may have lost, and what cruise lines gained market share as a result. In the new survey, 10% of you went with MSC. They gained 3 percentage points compared to last year. The largest portion is still Royal Caribbean at 51%. That is also a 3 percentage point gain. And then Carnival, as expected, did decrease. It was down to 17%. That is a drop of 10 percentage points compared to last year. And Norwegian Cruise Line had the largest gain. 22% of you said that you would prefer to cruise with them. That is an increase of 4 percentage points. So thanks for your input. That is at least one indicator of how current sentiment has changed. I appreciate your contribution to the survey. Here is today's question. This has to do with how you select a cruise. The question is, which of the following matters most to you in the selection of a cruise vacation? Would you say it is A, price, B, the departure port, C, the itinerary, or D, the ship? Chime in down below with which one is the biggest factor for you. I look forward to reading your responses, but now on with the cruise news. Number 5, a passenger's pictures from their cruise vacation provided the tip needed to land them in prison. A woman in the UK was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for jewelry theft. This came after she was convicted of stealing more than $170,000 worth of jewelry and cash from a luxury store that she had previously managed for the period of about 1 year. Her crime was discovered when the 39-year-old named Lucy Roberts went on a cruise. While on the cruise, she sent some pictures to her former colleagues showing them the good time she was having on the cruise, and in those pictures she happened to be wearing a large amount of luxury jewels. Her jewelry store colleagues, not believing they were something she had purchased, reported it. The police conducted an investigation and they found that they were indeed ones that she had taken from the store, and she falsified inventory records to cover the theft. During a search of her home, a total of 260 items from the store were recovered. The trial regarding this crime just ended. She'll be spending the next 2.5 years in prison. Next, number 6, we have an updated list of the remaining new cruise ships that will be launched this year. We are at approximately the halfway point for 2025, and as of right now, there are still 8 more cruise ships that are scheduled to launch. Here's the remaining schedule to keep you up to date. Oceania is launching the Allura in July. Royal Caribbean Star of the Seas arrives in August along with a vessel from Aurora Expeditions. Princess will introduce their own star in September. Then in November and December, we will see the launch of 2 new ships from Disney Cruise Line. Celebrity will also launch the Excel in November, and Windstar will add the Star Seeker in December. So a lot of exciting new things yet to come. Do any of those new ships interest you? Let me know down in the comments. Then number 7, a serious accident involving cruise passengers has occurred in Ketchikan, Alaska. The passengers were from the Norwegian Bliss cruise ship. A total of 46 cruisers boarded a school bus in Wards Cove. They were on their way for their planned shore excursions. However, the bus they were on collided with a SUV, and the SUV then hit a power pole. All of this occurred a little after 9 a.m. yesterday morning. 3 individuals were injured in the accident and were taken to the hospital. One was the driver of the SUV. 2 of the 3 were treated and released. The other is in critical condition. Definitely a rough situation. Let's pray for those who sustained injuries, and especially for the one that is considered critical. I have additional important news to share with you, but very quickly, if you're new here, I'm Jason with the Travel Scouts. Our aim in each video is to put together the latest cruise news and deliver to you in such a way that you are fully up to speed and it doesn't waste your time. So if you'll be cruising, definitely consider subscribing. Let's continue with the cruise news. Number 8, if you have an upcoming cruise that is scheduled to stop in Cadiz, Spain, you need to be aware that there's the potential for that stop to be changed. For the second time in a week, a cruise ship has decided to avoid the port of Cadiz, Spain due to ongoing labor disputes. The latest cancellation involves the PNO Ventura cruise ship. They made the change citing security concerns related to the ongoing dispute and the resulting unrest in the port area. In the course of the next month, more than a dozen cruise lines have Cadiz, Spain on their itineraries. This includes lines such as MSC, Norwegian, PNO, Princess, and others. If you happen to be scheduled for one of those sailings, we will seek to keep you informed as we receive more information from the port. Okay, I want to say a special thank you to our newest channel members. I'm going to have some new postings coming to you soon. And for everyone, you are up to date. If you want to stay up to date and be ready for your next cruise, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.